And here we go. We're live. We're live, Phil. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I thought I'd do a Sunday night call-in show. If anybody wants to talk, what's grinding your gears, Phil? Should we do the grinding your gears bit?
Okay. Well, I got an email today from someone claiming that essentially Top Cat tried to get my channel struck because I guess but however, I also did the reverse and I got his channel struck for fucking using my picture without my permission. So very clever move there, Top Cat, trying to be a little grass. You know what I mean? Yeah, very well.
Snaking it. Well, you know, he's taking that snitching process that he's just helping GMP with their inquiries, isn't he? When he rings up the snout line.
Give me a second.
Yeah, no props. Right, so hold on, people. I'm throwing links out. I decided to do this about 2 minutes ago. Actually. Right, so I haven't got anything planned. I don't want to burn any of Tuesday's content, so I'm just talking into the void. Well, it is the void at the moment. StreamYard links in the chat if anybody wants to join. If literally anybody wants to join, StreamYard link. If anyone wants to hop on, tell me what's grinding their gears. It doesn't have to be Top Cat, but it can be Top Cat. Uno reverse card. What do we got? Hey, Floss Marco. Flossy is in the chat. Marco's in the chat. Phil's being shouted at by Courtney yet again. Come on, people. Come on, this is your chance to get on and tell me what your gripes are, everyone. Come on, people. Literally anybody, you can come on.
Stop being gay. Come on, you fuckers.
Yeah, come talk to us about anything at all. What do you think to the Matt Hancock stuff? The memes are funny. I'll give him that.
Well, it's not the worst thing. Like for a politician, having an affair is basic shit, isn't it?
I thought they were kind of they were long past walking. They used to walk for it, didn't they? Do you remember like Cecil Parkinson? They used to walk for it if they got caught out, didn't they? They don't walk for anything. I mean, they're like an Australian cricketer, don't they? The only time they walk now is when they run out of petrol, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, at least he's not a nonce or fucking dogs or something.
Yeah, I've always been of the opinion. I suppose kind of when you standards gang, I suppose it's poor form to be having an affair. It is absolutely. It's poor form. I don't. Does it imply a bad character?
The problem is that with politicians, that the majority of politicians have got bad characters anyway.
Yeah.
There's a specific. It's just reality. Like, politicians tend to be sociopaths. So, if you're expecting them to have fucking standards, I think you're delusional.
Phil's gone again. So, do you guys think that anyone in chat, you're gonna have to give me under? No, my stream is fine. Neither did I, Alphabet Cat. I just thought I'd pop one up because no one was streaming tonight. Just thought I'd do a call-in show on a Sunday night, do something a bit more relaxed. Do you guys think that having an affair implies bad character? Because I'm inclined to say that I'm not so bothered about sexual impropriety, but I do think that financial impropriety should be treated a lot more seriously than that kind of thing. Yeah. Come on, somebody join in. Come on, peeps. Right. Come on, peeps. This is only going to last an hour if I don't get any help here. Yeah, it does, especially when they're in Hancock's crime go. Done far worse things like sending the elderly off to care homes to catch the coof. Yeah, exactly. I take financial impropriety way more seriously than I would infidelity, to be honest. Yeah, good point, English Scion. If someone's willing to do the dirty on his missus, he's willing to fuck everyone else. Although I do find the sexual scandals do outweigh the financial, which is the stuff that they never ever get held to account for. Left-wingers tried to push the meme that right-wingers should denounce Trump because he had affairs and nobody cared. Exactly, Ray. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Politicians like policemen are tools to be used and discarded. I can kind of go along with that, but I thought this was a play on words, like it's a roast comedy call-in. Oh, here we go. We got a contender has arrived. Nordic, you come to help me out.
Yeah, mate.
Mate. I thought I'd go back to like the traditional Sunday format where you like do like the Brutus type, just discussing bigger issues. And for some reason, I landed on Matt Hancock and politicians in general. What do you think? Do you think in this day and age that affairs should be taken seriously?
Yeah, I think they're not in general society these days because, you know, they've really smashed down the barriers around sex and sexual partners and sexual promiscuity. I don't think it's right. You shouldn't be cheating on someone. If you marry someone, which Matt Hancock is married, you're supposed to take those vows very, very, very seriously. And I think it does show a lack of character because this is a career politician. You know, with Donald Trump was just a rich celebrity. You kind of expected it from him to be having affairs left, right, and centre.
As people have corrected, Donald Trump is a career politician. He's been involved in politics for a lot longer than we have, and he wouldn't have any his hands anywhere near the wheels of power if he wasn't thought to be one of them, would he?
No. Well,
it's kind of a misnomer with Trump, isn't it? But I do get your general point that he's not per se a politician, is he?
No, he's not. He's not like Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson and all of them.
Well, that's all they've ever done.
Right.
I do think the sex stuff is a distraction from the money stuff. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a Matt Hancock pilloried because they're on the board of Pfizer or something like that? You know, you never see it happen, do you?
No, there was a lot of stuff that came out about him as well, that he was giving contracts to his mates and stuff, and
well, apparently that's what the Tory government did in general, didn't they? They were giving contacts to their mates first. I mean, I was listening to I think it was a Spectator podcast the other day, and they were saying that it was jobs for the boys first.
Yeah, I don't like Matt Hancock. He looks like a fucking creep. Like, although Phil said at least he's not a paedophile, he fucking well looks like one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. You're just relieved when it's the secretary they're shagging, can't you?
Yeah, it's just the secretary.
Oh, fuck, thank God it's not little boys. Well, the little boys ones, they're the ones that get hushed up because they're quite good for controlling people, aren't they?
Yeah. But I was shocked to see that he actually resigned and that Sajid David has taken his position now.
Whenever I see him on telly, I fancy a boiled egg.
This is the health secretary, and they're just giving the job to any old Tom, Dick, and Harry they can find in the office. Like, none of these people are actually qualified to do the jobs they're fucking given. It's ridiculous.
Are there any like ex-doctor? There must be an ex-doctor or an ex-GP that's a politician. There must be one.
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
There must be, yeah, because they all claim, oh no, I started off in McDonald's and now I'm a politician out of nowhere. They all start with shit like that, don't they? Yeah. They want to try and con you into thinking it.
I was shocked to see that he actually resigned, because like when me and you were talking about it the other day, we were like, nah, he's probably not going to retire, is he? And I sort of said, well,
but it comes from the top down, don't it? Because Boris's current marriage is the result of an affair, isn't it? So, you know, the standard it is very much a surprise because the PM's like does it himself.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the Prime Minister's choice. I think the amount of backlash that he was getting from like Labour politicians, from the media, from the general public, I think he just sort of, the writing was on the wall, and they weren't going to let. I said to you that yesterday morning when I came downstairs, they weren't going to let him sweep this under the rug.
Yeah, I think. Do you think this is part of the agenda to sweep away COVID?
Yeah, possibly. Because
they're going to have to do an about face. They're going to have to do an about face without actually doing an about face. They've got to make it look like it's all completely. So that maybe they're going to discredit. What they're going to do is discredit the COVID rules or so. I don't know. I think they're trying to back out of it. Is my personal opinion.
I said the other week on JDLE that it seems like Matt Hancock and certain people are being thrown under a bus.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, lo and behold, Matt Hancock's been thrown under the number 23 bus.
The number 37 bus. Going over sex is better than being sacked over financial nepotism. Yeah, but the thing is, they'll never get either called out or sacked for financial nepotism, will they?
No, that's probably the point as well.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Boris is trying to do. I'm not quite sure. I don't know whether he is trying to back out of COVID, or whether he's I don't know, because you know there's another extension looming, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I said this before. Like, I think it was the other week that Alex Jones said something that I found really interesting, and he turned around and said, you know, these Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, Boris Johnson, these people were supposed to bring in medical IDs and the social credit system so that they could track everyone, and the mandatory vaccinations. But what they weren't supposed to do was shut down the American and European economies so much that China has basically taken over as the world's superpower. So a lot of people are in a lot of trouble with the globalists for this.
I don't know though, but it's done the required job, which is you know, pruning quite a few small businesses, isn't it?
Yeah, but what it's done is it's let China take over, and China has taken over during COVID. You can see it's happened, and that wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't to let China take over.
Well, China are taking over anyway, aren't they? Because they've got everywhere by the balls, because they make our shitty plastic stuff, don't they?
Yeah, they were made to think that they were in charge of everything, but they're not in charge of everything. The globalists that control the world are in charge of everything.
Oh yeah, if China steps out of line, they'll just move all of the production elsewhere.
Yeah, if China stopped playing ball, then they'd take it all elsewhere, which is, I think, what they're planning to do. By the end of this, we're all going to be bankrupt, all of us.
But where do they take it though? India? Because India is now more populous. I don't know whether you knew that.
I did see that.
Indians,
I don't know what the
more populous than China now, aren't they? India. The thing is about the I don't know. I don't think the Indians have got the IQ to be making Apple iPhones, are they?
The problem is, and Phil would probably attest to this, is that when we try to think about what they're doing, we're thinking about long term. These people don't think in the long term. These people think in the short term, and then hope for the best, and the best usually doesn't happen.
Punish John Kelly says, in this country, in the next 10 to 15 years, the white man shall have the whip over the black man.
God, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Vietnam. Yeah, they could move to. Is this what Keith Woods and OTO are doing? Then they're the big brains, are they? They want to be running the factories when it all gets moved to Vietnam.
Well, what was it? Mersh said the other day. Mersh was like, all of these globalists want to be real careful pushing this race war issue because look at the demographics.
Mm.
If you think white people have kicked off in the past, then keep pushing.
Yeah,
keep pushing because one of these days
as KB used to say when we ran the empire, that we had a population of 11 million people.
Yeah, and we're a tiny little island that took control of pretty much the entire planet. People want to watch themselves.
But anyway, there's been some cracking memes come out of this thing, haven't there, with Hancock? Most of it's been absolutely hilarious.
Some of them memes you were showing me the other night were fucking hilarious.
Oh, you seen the Banksy one where he's hanging out the window?
No.
There's one, I think it's a Banksy, and they've put his head on it, and it's like a guy hanging off a window ledge. And the husband's leaning out the window having a looking for him.
Oh dear. Where did Phil go? Phil ran off.
Courtney's probably beating him. Even Ian-A's gone.
Yeah, probably.
I thought Sunday night was fun night. I thought someone would have joined in by now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it's quiet. I don't know. Everyone moans in the chat they want a Sunday show.
Yeah, and then when a Sunday show happens, they're all sat there quiet.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hobbit trucking then. I have no idea what trucking. The one with Alan Partridge voice over the top is great. I haven't seen that one. It's off on a side tangent. Is Mark Collett the Alan Partridge of nationalism?
Oh.
He's got some Partridge type tales. What were they saying about these stream tonight with him and Laura, where he was moaning at someone on bicyclists or something?
I don't know. I don't watch his streams, to be honest. I got bored of watching his streams while I was still in PA.
Yeah, they're a bit tedious, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, those Courtney's killed Phil. Flossie says. You're not jumping on Floss. You're not jumping on the Sunday show. Whopper, that was yesterday. Hobbit did it, then moved it. Hobbit's decided off his own back to move it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, English Skyland's popping on. Hey, mate. How you doing?
Lads. Not too bad, sir. Yous?
Yeah, not too bad. What you got? What's grinding your gears then, mate?
I'll be honest with you. I've just been looking at what's been going on. I think what you were saying is about right. I think this is all a tactical realignment. Let's throw him under the bus, make out he's a bad guy, and then we can blame everything else on him.
Yeah, maybe stitch Whitty up as well. I would like to see Whitty stitched up because he looks like that fucking meme. You know, the thing with the neck and like the bobblehead on it. He looks exactly like that, doesn't he?
But I also think what you're saying about China Nordic, I don't quite think that's right. I think they're about ready to get their shit pushed in because it looks like they're about ready to go for Taiwan, and I think as soon as they do, it'll be a dog pile.
Yeah, I think that's the general plan. I think China overplayed their hand massively, and they're going to learn.
Well, they told us, didn't they? They sent a threatening message to one of the diplomats saying, keep your nose out of our business. We're doing what we're doing, and if you do, it will cause war. But what they don't realise is Russia wants like most of the northern provinces of China. India wants that bit on the west. America will do them in just for the fact that they don't want them to take over the manufacturing industry. The minute that they step a foot out of line, everyone's going to dogpile on them.
That's going to be great.
But don't you think they've already stepped out of line with the Wuhan bullshit? I mean, I thought that's when they should have had their shit pushed in after the Wuhan shit. I mean, do you think? What do you think? Because there are now competing theories, aren't they? Some people are saying it came from America. Some people are saying it came from Wuhan. Because hasn't it, like about 2 weeks ago, the mainstream have been saying that it actually has come from Wuhan now, haven't they?
Yeah, they're saying it came
I
from that.
believe that. See, I was watching it back, I think it was October, November time before it come over here when it was all mystery pneumonia, and they were bagging people up and chucking them in a furnace. I think it's definitely come from there, but I think it's one of them where because the WHO was on their side because of obviously the amount of money being thrown about, they could do the no you bit and just point the finger around.
I think the most likely is that they're dirty cunts and they've eaten some vivisected bat or something.
No, I think Occam's razor tells me that it escaped from a lab in November 2019.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This bat was some animal was maybe not a bat then. Some animal was experimented on in a lab, and because they're fucking dirty cunts, they probably eat fucking shit that's been thrown out of labs. Just throw it on the fucking Barbie, don't they?
No, I don't think it was that. Are you ready for this, Hemmy?
Go on,
this is going to blow your mind, mate. In November 2019, 3 members of the research team at the Wuhan Institute of Coronavirus Research were taken to hospital with mysterious pneumonia symptoms. There was an investigation into said Wuhan lab where they were found to not be using the appropriate safety protocols while working with coronaviruses. It's now been proved via Dr. Fauci's emails that he was funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan Institute of Coronavirus.
So you reckon because they're so fucking hopeless, like one of them duct taped his fucking overalls up or something like that?
Yeah, I think they fucked up.
Yeah.
I think they fucked up. They let it out and they tried to cover it with the Wuhan wet market story. Because I've seen a lot of talk from people, expats from England that moved out to Wuhan that said that a lot of that stuff that they were talking about was
South Korean cult hypothesis.
Do
you know this one that Bayray's saying, the South Korean cult hypothesis? I don't actually know that one.
I've heard that.
Neither do I.
That Jesus Society where they all got in planes, they all caught it, got on planes, and I think that's how it happened in Israel. They just got on a plane to Israel, about 5 of them.
Yeah.
But I think that something dodgy's been going on, because I remember seeing the logo and it's like Resident Evil's Umbrella Corps, and not just that, there was a big story that was glossed over not long after the mystery pneumonia happened, where 5 Chinese scientists were kicked out of Canada for stealing SARS samples and sending them back to China.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I've heard that's one thing about the Chinese. No matter what country they live in, they're always Chinese.
Yeah, they're a diaspora. I don't blame them though. I wish our people did that.
Yeah, exactly.
They work
not sending back dodgy shit, but at least stick up for their own sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what gain of function is, Hemmy? Do you know what gain of function research is?
No.
Well, gain of function research is when you take a virus, i.e. SARS-CoV-2, and you mess with it to make it infinitely more stronger so that you can test what it would actually do, and if you can create antibodies to it, if you can create a vaccine. Now, this isn't supposed to be done. This is technically illegal under the Geneva Convention. Well,
you know China's got clones and fucking all sorts.
Yeah. we do it as well. We experiment with lots of.
I should imagine we do it in a proxy country. I don't think you'd find a single lab over here that does that. I think we do it in proxy countries.
We do some shady shit at Portland Down with chemical and biological weapons.
Oh yeah.
Like we're not supposed to be experimenting with those, but we do anyway.
Well, the big one that done me was the Milton Down, where they were giving everyone radioactive tablets in like the 70s just to see what it'd do to you.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles and that.
See what would happen.
Right, so Byers just sent me a link to that article. So he says about 200 members of the Shincheonji Church of Jesus met at the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak and mostly ignored rumours of the illness that began to swirl as early as November, a kindergarten teacher told the South China Morning Post. However, she refused to believe that the Wuhan-based members could have played a part in the outbreak at Daegu and the rest of South Korea because none of our brothers and sisters in Wuhan have ever been infected, she said.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just remember back when this first started, a lot of talk about the Chinese lab theory was going about, and social media and the media were sort of conspiring to make this a false narrative, a Trump story. If you believed in the Wuhan lab leak theory, then you're a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And then Trump's not president anymore, and suddenly the mainstream media are talking about a Wuhan lab theory.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. Not to show for China, but China have got their own theory that it came from America as well, aren't they?
Well, they would.
Yeah, but it's quite. Hold on a minute though. But like when you compare the two theories, like it is really difficult to know which one's true or false.
Go on then. You could be our devil's advocate for China. What are China saying then, Phil? Because I haven't looked at it.
Right. So they claim that there's a lab in I think it's in Los Angeles or something that was dealing with the same said virus, and it predates like China by a few months, and they believe it came from America. Yeah, what do you mean they would say that? Like, I know there's like, oh, we have to hate China always. Like, we have to always side with the fucking CIA. But like, a little bit of me is like, hold on a minute. Why is it always China? Hold on. Isn't it possible that like America leaked that virus? It is fucking possible.
Well, China has a long and storied history with respiratory viruses. SARS-CoV, the Hong Kong virus.
Yeah, but that's an argument from induction, though. It's an argument from induction.
Even the Spanish flu, there's a lot of evidence now that points that the Spanish flu came from Asia.
No, it didn't. It came from America, like the Spanish flu did.
Bird flu was Asian.
Yeah,
like the Spanish influenza came from America, like during World War One. It did. It came from American soldiers. It's called Spanish.
I don't think we could ever really prove that in the past, but all I'm looking at is I was seeing that going on in October time, well before any of us knew about it, and China were dumping people in the furnace. So that tells me they knew what they were dealing with before then. So we'd have to get some dates. I do think America's probably fucking with something, because I think every single country's playing around with
do you think there's a possibility this in the first time America has fucked with something like this? Hence, I was going to say, where did AIDS start in New York or Los Angeles? Does anybody know?
Wasn't it San Francisco?
Los Angeles, where the lab where Phil's saying the lab happens to be, you know. Autoimmune disease, anybody?
No, it's a bit before my time. I wouldn't really know about how that all started. I thought it come from fucking monkeys, but
yeah. I thought it came from some African fucking
here we go. Right, so I'll read it to you. So this is from like the Chinese states have been pushing this out as well. And they've said it's by the Communist Youth League pushed a theory that the coronavirus originated in a lab at Maryland Army Base, not Wuhan, China, as the scientific consensus. Whatever, I don't believe scientific consensus. That just means appeal to
It's not real. There is no scientific consensus.
No, that just means everyone agrees with you. That just means everyone, But
and scientists don't agree with each other.
So it was.
No. Hold on, I've got to retract the AIDS stuff, because the first story on the disease appeared May the 18th, 1981 in the gay newspaper The New York Native. AIDS was first clinically reported on the June 5th, 1981, with 5 cases in the United States. So it started in New York. I thought it started in New York. I wasn't 100% sure.
Hold on a minute. Wait there, man. So they're claiming that it came from Fort Derrick in Maryland. That's what they're claiming. A representative for the Chinese Foreign Ministry called for an investigation by the WHO into Fort Derrick. If America respects the truth, then please open up Fort Derrick and make public information about the 200 or more biolabs outside of the US. And please allow the new expert.
So China can find out just how the insides of it work without actually having to send one of their spies.
Well, please, let's everyone shill for fucking America, because America has done nothing wrong ever. They've never fucking chaotic.
To be fair though, I'm not shilling for China. Fuck China.
No, you just automatically believe that the virus came from China because the fucking media told you so.
Well, it's because
the media told me.
The first cases of COVID-19 were found in Wuhan. And
no, they weren't. Well, according to China, they were first found in fucking Fort fucking Derrick.
China just don't want to be fucking held responsible for killing.
No, but hold on a minute. You haven't even heard their argument. You haven't even heard their fucking argument. You've just assumed that China's the problem without even fucking listening to them.
We don't really need to see the argument. We've seen videos of them tossing people in the furnace 3 months before any media.
Listen, right? No one denies that.
Hold on. Let Matt Groening. Matt Groening's just joined. Evening. What have you got to add to this?
Oh no, he's just gone AIDS. You reckon a rabbi circumcised a chimp and then sucked it off, and that's how AIDS started?
Anyway, you and Nordic and Phil start arguing again.
right. My point is, no one denies that China had the virus, and they did deal with it in an authoritarian way. However, China are claiming that the virus first fucking started in Fort fucking Derrick in America. That's what their claim is. And I'm sorry, when I compare both theories, like the American side of the argument and the fucking Chinese side of the argument, where the virus started, I don't fucking know ultimately. And I'm not gonna automatically just believe fucking America. So, fuck China. I don't give a fuck. They're both dickheads. America are dickheads and China are dickheads. I believe they're both.
You see that meme about China? So there's that parody account Zan Yong. It's in your Discord, and NPR are saying Asian Americans still perceived as the model minority, but this is a myth, one that flattens diverse experiences and doesn't align with current blah blah blah. And he just goes, "Fuck yeah, China matter, how to work at Anna? How about American rape? There's a tired American lie."
It's just China and America. They're the two biggest superpowers in the world, and they just can't help fucking blaming each other for everything.
To be honest, I don't trust either. I don't trust either side. The special relationship is the biggest load of bollocks that's ever been perpetrated upon the British public.
Like I'm hardly shilling for America when I turned around and said Dr. Fauci had been proved in his emails to have been funding gain-of-function research into SARS-CoV-2.
No, but you are sort of just automatically believing what the fucking. So in regards to where the virus started, definitely started.
Not the Chinese, Phil, but they're so innocent.
Hold on a minute. But this idea that America, hold on a minute. Are people innocent until proven guilty? Yes, they fucking are, aren't they? So someone,
what do you say?
Hold on a minute. Fuck up and listen, right? So if China says, hold on a minute, you're accusing me of this, and there's actual evidence that it actually occurred in Fort Derrick, are you going to actually listen to them or say, no, the media told me? Fuck that. You listen to
I don't think.
Guess what? I don't believe America either. I don't believe America. I don't believe China.
Any of them, mate.
No.
But here's the thing: China were fucking barricading cities off before we even knew about it. They may have it in America.
Yeah, it
Well,
wasn't
according to
about
China,
it was a
America were
racist
fucking.
Minecraft server.
According to China, it was happening in America a long fucking time before this, but America were better at fucking gay opping it and keeping it undercover.
Yeah. Well, we all thought that we had it at some point the year before, didn't we?
I don't know. I don't really think America could have gay opped it better than China. China can basically turn the internet off at a finger. They can do what they want, really. We've established that they ain't no democracy. Well, democracy don't exist.
Oh,
anyway,
right, America's a democracy.
No, America isn't a democracy, but China clearly, the people who run China clearly have a lot more power than Joe Biden and his mates. They can do it. I remember watching. Do you believe that?
Like,
No, there is. I mean, you can't.
Bitcoin.
In English, you can't say that there's not a social credit system currently in the Western world, is there?
Oh, yeah.
There basically is.
But what I'm trying to say is that there are people in America who still believe it is a democracy and would leak this stuff out. Where in China, bang, you get shot. Look at that doctor; he's been missing for 2 years now because he started talking about it.
Yeah, according to our press.
Look, I don't really believe in the press anyway, mate. The press is
Well,
bullshit.
basically,
What I'm trying
we
to
brought
say
the
is,
social credit system on ourselves voluntarily in many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we didn't, mate. I never asked for the virtue signal, mate. Never, ever. You know what I mean? Certain people have done it because they think it makes them better in the eyes of the people. But the whole thing with China is I think that they're a lot better at covering things up if they really needed to. And, you know what I mean? They were barricading cities off, burning fucking apartment complexes down. And that was all happening months before anything happened. I remember showing people at work going, look at this, look at this mystery pneumonia, it's coming. I think that everyone's diddling with these viruses because it's the new one-up. It's like a nuclear war weapon. But I do think that China fucked up, dropped the ball, and it broke out there. America may have it and may be doing testing, but I think millions and millions of people got the rough end of the stick in China.
I think you've got to look at Occam's razor, where if you've got a lab in America, you know it's not going to accidentally get out. Yeah, I could quite believe some of the. I could quite believe they're like jerry rigging fucking NBC suits up in fucking China and fixing them up with sellotape because they are that fucking just don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well,
3D printed,
I didn't even shill for America. I said it happened in China, but America paid for the bastard.
No, hold on a minute.
They're both guilty, Phil. They're both guilty. The Chinese government are guilty for taking America's money because Dr. Fauci paid for it.
Well, Nordic, our crack team of researchers and journalists have deduced Wuhan is located in Israel. So.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the real thing, is that both Nordic and Phil are wrong, and it's a joint US fucking China gay op, which is entirely possible.
Right, I've got some articles.
Why would you even need to do that if you really think about it? If you just think they just created a bunch of fucking hysteria over the common fucking cold, you know?
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure, this thing has definitely been blown out of proportion, hasn't it? I mean, we're saying that it's some sort of deadly disease, and it's like 99.6% survivable.
Imagine that. All right then, Pan Lang, what the fuck have you got for me? Oh, you see, we have the ultimate weapon.
Right, let me read the Chinese arguments, just so you can be fair, right?
Yeah.
So I'll read it to you. Right, just be rational. You know, hear their state of it. So they say it's worth noting that many media outlets in the US, Western world, which hyped the lab leak theory, are only willing to focus on the Chinese labs, though they have been thoroughly investigated by the WHO, while turning a blind eye to the more suspicious American biological research institutions, such as the infamous U.S. Army Research Institute of Infectious Diseases.
They were the ones that give those blacks the clap, didn't they? Do you remember that one?
Hold on a minute. So it says here. So the USAMRIID was temporarily shut down in 2019 after a Centers for Disease Control inspection. Although the mysterious lab reported for the reason of the closure as ongoing infrastructure issues with wastewater decontamination, the explanation was not persuasive enough. The Global Times found that the lab's failure to control toxins seems to have alarmed the countering weapons of mass destruction related Institute. A joint study into the origins of COVID-19 by Chinese experts and the WHO in March dismissed the lab leak conspiracy theory. More evidence pointed to the fact that the virus had probably jumped from bats to humans, blah, blah, blah. Nonetheless, the lab leak theory has not disappeared. Instead, especially from beginning of May, it has largely been promoted by some US politicians and media outlets as a plausible science. In an article, blah, blah, blah. I can't be bothered to read all this, but the point is that... wait there, man.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's saying the American military can't have had anything to do, have never done anything bad, because, like I say, they give those blacks the clap. There was all the Bikini Atoll testing where no one was given the proper protective clothing, were they? That was a huge scandal.
It says the US has many biolabs in 25 countries and regions across the Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, and the former Soviet Union states, with 16 in Ukraine alone. Some of these labs have seen large-scale outbreaks of measles, and other dangerous infectious diseases, according to media reports. The international community has frequently expressed concern over the US biological militarization activities in other countries. In October, blah, blah, it goes on forever. If you want to read the article, I'll put it in the private chat. No, I've got it here. So it says, in July 2019, 6 months before the US reported its first COVID-19 case, Army laboratory at Fort Derrick that studies deadly infectious material like Ebola and smallpox was shut down after the US Centers for Disease Control issued a cease and desist order for national security reasons. Fort Derrick said in August 2019 that the shutdown was because the center did not have sufficient systems in place to dispose of decontaminated wastewater. What exactly happened at Fort Derrick in the summer of 2019? Some US media previously turned to the CDC to get answers, but many key contents in the report have been redacted. In early June, a Virginia-based Twitter user got the CDC documents on the inspection of Fort Derrick under the Freedom of Information Act.
We need no white guilt on here. He lives in Maryland. He's tight with the military, isn't he? We need no white guilt on here.
He started the coronavirus.
Yeah, no white guilt started with it.
So he's CIA, isn't he?
He tried to kill me.
One of these,
he did. It was the coronavirus in sleeping bags. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It says here. It says one of these serious violations was the inspector who entered a room multiple times without the required respiratory protection, while other people in that room were performing procedures on a non-human primate.
In the interest of balance, I'd like to say, Ray has said, I always wondered he was dumb enough to believe the propaganda that Russia and China produced. No one knows.
Oh, right, yeah, but you definitely believe the propaganda from America. So, well, if America telling me propaganda, it must be fucking true. I believe CNN, I do. Fox News.
That's the wrong assumption you're making there, Phil. You literally just exploded that we believe American media. No, we don't.
Okay, why do you believe it originated in Wuhan, then?
The American media.
Why do you think it came from Wuhan, then?
Because that's where all the early reports came from.
Why do I think it came from Wuhan? Because that's where all the earliest reports came from. Dr. Fauci has been proven very recently.
How's he been proven?
Yes, it has. Through his emails.
How's it been proven exactly?
It's been proven through his emails because he's stupid enough to have all of this stuff backed up on emails. Anyone with half a brain knows. Never in paperwork, always cash. And he fucked up both of those.
Okay. How does that prove that it originated in Wuhan?
I believe Dr. Fauci's emails that I fucking sat there and read.
Okay, so in his email, how does it prove in these emails that it originated in Wuhan?
Because he was sending money directly out of the US Treasury over to the Wuhan Institute of Coronavirus Research.
How does that prove that it originated in Wuhan, though? Because he sent money there.
Because he was because COVID-19 is a more infectious strain of SARS-CoV-2, and it's highly suspicious that Dr. Fauci paid a lot of money for gain-of-function research into SARS-CoV. Do you know what gain-of-function research is, Phil?
Yeah, they were doing that, and they were doing that in Fort Derrick as well.
Oh.
Lads,
Is that
have you thought about
is that
Hancock
just
and
Chinese-
Colin
is that
Angelo?
because Chinese state media said so?
No, because that's a fact.
Why? Because Chinese state media say so?
No, because you can fucking prove it. They are doing that. Like, everyone's doing that around the
they?
fucking world. Yes, they fucking are.
Where's
Anyone
the
who's...
proof?
I'll find you the fucking proof now.
You talked about Hancock, getting off with that lass behind the bins at Aldi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how we got here.
Oh, right.
I mentioned COVID once. I think I got away with it.
And now he's resigned, and that guy who no one knows what his job is to replace him.
Sajid Javid. I always fancy bald egg when I see him on the telly. I don't know why.
Imagine that.
Bald egg or Maltese.
There's
always fancy them when I see Sajid Javid.
I just thought that Chris Whitty looks like a thumb with little boogly eyes. Stuck to
He looks like that meme. He looks like that meme. That thing with the long neck. That thing with the long neck and the little bobblehead. That's what Chris Whitty looks like.
Have you seen several have been arrested from Extinction Rebellion because they dumped manure outside newspaper offices?
Yeah.
I bet it was the Daily Mail as well.
Yeah, but of course it was. They're all fucking lefty cunts, aren't they?
There was a group of them out the other week fucking cleaning a bank.
It looks, but yeah, Voodoo, fucking hell, Voodoo, you must be as old as me.
God.
Voodoo Media said Chris Whitty looks like Pob, if anyone remembers Pob.
What do you think? Imagine the smell, but yeah, apparently they didn't like run up and then tactically like lay a dump on the steps. It was several tons of manure, and a horse manure at that.
You know what they should. You know what they should have done. They should have put some dog shit in a paper bag and set light to it.
Yeah.
Because then someone comes out and stamps it out and ends up covered in dog shit.
I guess right. It was the Daily Mail. Fucking hell, these people are useless. They are so dumb.
They're so sad, aren't they? Oh dear.
Ugh.
Right, so I think we've done the Wuhan talk. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Fuck that, I haven't finished yet.
Oh, right then. Well, we're having a massive spurg out on the Wuhan flu.
Right, so when do you believe the first case of... So here's the thing, right? If I can prove, right, that the first case of COVID-19...
All right then, Phil. I'm gonna do some whataboutery on you now. If it was, as you say, it's all about the... It's all about what you say it is. Then why weren't we allowed to call it the Wuhan flu or point fingers at China? If it was an American gay op.
Yeah, well, they did that with Spanish influenza. Like, it's about power, isn't it, really? It's like, if you're a really powerful fucking nation, then you have the privilege where you can say, you're not going to call it the American virus. Just like with Spanish influenza.
That's not a packy that Matt Hancock got off with. She's Italian.
Same thing. No,
Gina Coladangelo.
Yeah, but what part of Italy is she from?
The Jewy part, by the looks. The Jewy part.
She looks a bit too dark to be Italian, Hemmy.
Apparently, a flurry of bets have been placed on a horse called Dubious Affair amid Hancock scandal.
What else has he done? Wasn't he caught before? Like, he went halfway across the country to shag some 50-year-old lass.
Oh, what? Oh, he did? I thought you were talking about...
Yeah, was that him or was that some other...
No, you're thinking of Dominic Cummings, who went up to drop his kids off at their grandparents.
I can't tell these people apart, man.
They do all look the same.
Is he talking about Neil Ferguson? Because Neil Ferguson travelled to go fuck his mistress, didn't he?
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's why everyone was holding Matt Hancock up. Because Matt Hancock had said what Neil Ferguson done to break lockdown restrictions was disgusting, and he was right to have resigned for doing it. That's why he had to resign. He had to eat his own words.
Bets? What are the bets he met her on Grindr? And it's actually a bloke.
Oh.
No, Ain't it one of his brother, one of his mates from school's sister or something? He went college because he gave that guy a big contract, brother. So obviously he's known her for a while.
What's that? What was that guy called? Was it Dirty Martin, the guy who's always shoving Toblerones up his bum?
Oh yeah, Naked Martin. Naked
You reckon
Martin.
that's actually Matt Hancock?
He looks like him. Nobody ever Google Naked Martin.
Like,
never ever Google Naked Martin.
Yeah, like any like viral video like that. I did mention this on Phil's stream, but like anything like that, you just say it's some high-ranking politician. Like 2 Girls 1 Cup, that was Jeremy Corbyn who filmed it.
Also, is Top Cat okay? Because he didn't do his usual drunk stream on a Saturday night, crying about us.
Oh, I'll be back in a minute, Hemmy.
You know this song Yellow? Because he's like, Phil, I want to paint your daughter yellow and dress myself up like Bart.
Bart, mate.
God, you should do a stream singing Yellow by Coldplay. Let's be real, he does look like he listens to him.
He does.
Point is, for the corona, I was going to say one more thing about coronavirus, right?
Got them.
I don't believe any of them. That's my point on this. Okay, I don't believe the fucking CIA or the American government. I don't believe the Chinese government. I don't know where it fucking originated from. That's the bottom line. Got no idea. It's all a load of fucking bollocks. As soon as when you start believing the fucking American government on anything, and you're not fucking critical at all, I think you're having a bad time. Same with the Chinese. Go ahead. I'd trust any of them. Trust any of them. They're all full of shit.
Well, the Yanks. I don't see any difference between the Yanks and the Chinese, to be honest.
Not really.
In trustability. Yeah,
they're both our enemies.
Well, I don't
They're
know.
a rebel colony.
Yeah.
Chinese PPE includes a fishbowl as your mask. You know what I mean? I think the fact that what you were saying, duct tape suits ain't really going to well.
Can't trust
That's
anyone
all I'm
around the
trying to
world.
say.
You can't trust any other country. You can't even trust your own country. I don't trust. You can't trust any of them. They're all full of shit about everything.
But it's not that you can.
What about North Korean media? I
trust
North Korean. I trust North Korean media. Obviously, they're right about everything.
What do you think to the South Korean death cult theory for the?
There is some sort of validity to that. There's also like
because SARS was released by the what would I call Shinrikyo, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and they've got a history for it.
Japan.
Yeah, and coronavirus is very similar to SARS, so maybe the Korean death cult's got legs. Someone's funding, so maybe the Chinese government, Japanese government, maybe some government is funding these people to do biological testing.
Who cares anyway? It didn't really work. And the point is, it didn't really kill a lot of people. But the real enemy in the coronavirus has been your own fucking government and the capitalists who are fucking destroying your fucking economy. So you can blame China all you want, but do you know who the real enemy is? Fucking Amazon and fucking Google.
It's not just like capitalist governments, it's every government, because they're not going to let a good opportunity go to waste, and that's all they've done everywhere.
Well, that's the thing. What we need to, I think, what a lot of people have lost sight of is the fact that this disease was 99.6% survivable. So why weren't that 0.04% of people just told to isolate so everyone can get on with their lives?
Because we're an island, we've got the luxury of saying if it was that bad, why didn't we just close the borders off?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You've got to swim across the sea to get us.
Fucking hell, what you want? You want the fucking capitalists close the borders? That was never going to happen, was it? Fucking hell.
Well, they had to have them 30,000 Romanians in, didn't they? To pick veg.
And then weren't there so many from, where was it, Bulgaria to pick strawberries in Ireland for Keelings?
Yeah, so recently they're saying we need low skilled immigrants. There's no possible way that we can find the labour. It's like there's fucking 2 million people unemployed. You fucking bastard.
Hey,
What
happened to that? Like wasn't meant to be like 10 million people from Hong Kong coming here?
Oh, they're still coming, mate. They're just packing the bags and setting up the boats.
Yeah, they'll be there for whenever they automate everything. A lot of people have got this white pill where they're like, oh, they're going to automate everything and they're going to invest in us so we can be engineers. And they're like, nah, mates. We're gonna take the engineers from Hong Kong and you're going to die. That's the plan. Okay, you can have your universal basic income, and they can be the engineers.
I'm right in a flat, or they can have the houses.
Hmm?
If they're breeding and you're not.
Yeah, you're gonna automate everything in a world of choice minorities.
Yeah,
you're gonna live in an advanced tech future. That's definitely gonna happen.
So if we are gonna have workers, it's better that they don't speak English and they're all different ethnicities, so they can't unionize against us. That's preferable. You know what I mean? I don't want a load of English people rioting and shit. Bring a load of weebs over.
Change. I can actually see this actually causing some problems because instead of them trying to replace low-skilled workers, they've gone for the middle class this time.
Yeah,
well, they've already influx of people.
Yes. They've already fucking replaced the fucking low-skilled workers with the Polish and all that bullshit. Now it's not even about replacing them. It's about finding cheap labor. And the reality is that they don't want to invest in you. They don't give a fuck about you.
But it's a Ponzi scheme. Eventually, it's going to stop, isn't it? Because these people, there's only so many people that this country's going to take, isn't there?
Deputy senior HR manager Karen, so they're going to start the power cut and chimp out, guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's more multifaceted because the way I look at it is I've worked with quite a few Polish people and they're all building up money to go back home. So they're all planning on leaving and taking parts of the money with them. So they're going to leave. I think that's why it's focusing on low-skilled from Africa who were going to stay, supposedly, and now going for people from Hong Kong who have nowhere to go back to. If you look at it, I think that's why the EU immigration is being pushed down.
Yeah, well, they're still going to have that, by the way. Like they're talking about changing legislation, aren't they? Because we've got a shortage of workers. We don't, by the way. We've got plenty of English people who don't have jobs or shitty jobs. They just don't want to pay people a decent wage. So that's still going to continue. Like they're talking about change. We're going to have a points-based immigration system. Well, they're talking about changing that so it includes low-skilled workers. Which sort of goes.
They've already complained about it, haven't they, and tried to make it lower and make adjustments where they've made certain jobs sound like they're more prestigious and you need more points, when in the end it's just another taxi driver.
Yeah, it's like, listen, we still have a points-based immigration system. We just need the only points that we're going to have are.
Do you remember when we went through the emergency jobs list? It's a fucking joke. It's an absolute fucking joke. It includes artists. It includes musicians and artists. It's a fucking joke. It's no kind of emergency jobs list at all.
No, it's a loophole. So when fucking Mohammed comes over and he's like, I have no skills, some fucking Jew will come up to him and say, you're a musician, guy. I'm just telling him you're a musician. And he'll go, I'm a musician. I play guitar. Can I come in, please? Yes, you can come in. Here's your fucking council house, you fuck. That's what it'll be. Everyone will do that, won't they?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, but I cannot see it lasting because we're already at a massive demand for housing. I can see the pot's being boiled, and I think this corona thing, like, I was speaking to someone not long ago and saying the past 4 or 5 years, everything's been super divisive. Even from Brexit to like corona, it's not. There's middle ground.
Even TV shows. Look at TV shows now. Yeah. You had stuff like that, Noughts and Crosses on BBC One. I don't know whether anyone watched that. That's a fictional state where Africa took over Europe. That's pretty funny. That is.
Yeah, I think I've seen
I watched the first episode. It was. I meant to watch the rest of it, but just didn't quite get round to it. But it was funny. That first episode was.
Did you know that was just a carbon copy of our society, but with black people? Like nothing changed. It was just the colour of the people.
Oh no, there's some different patterns on the walls, Scan. You got it all wrong. There's some different patterns on the walls. Well, they look a bit more African.
Architecture.
To be fair, I don't think much will change. I think when the blacks will become all fucking liberal and gay and fucking retarded, just as much as we are, if not worse.
But idiocracy seems to be a blueprint, not just a comedy anymore, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the. When they do say we can get them to integrate, it's not getting them to integrate to be like good English people. It's getting them to integrate to being shitty, individualistic, liberal, gay people. And I'm fairly confident that they'll get that
but
done.
I don't believe they will, though, because at the minute we've got the tail wagging the dog. Their old stick is that they've been oppressed. You can point out that white slavery was only abolished 10 years prior, but they don't care because they've had this narrative. Now. They don't want to be equal.
Well, I pointed this out with the jab, that Tony Blair bit that we did the other week, where the thing is that their agenda of telling the blacks they're oppressed and the white man hates them and the government wants them dead is now actually like it's affecting their ability to gay up people into things like COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually read that myself as well after seeing the Tony Blair thing. I seen the article where I think only like 15 or 20% of them are willing to get the jab. Everyone else don't trust the government.
Yeah, exactly. So they're at the stage. Maybe this is why they're trying to get him into high positions so they can start trusting the government, so they can get away with gay upping them with stuff like COVID.
I don't think it will work. I think they're too far gone, and I don't think they're as intellectually ready to do it all. Anyway,
we've got Vinnie Sullivan on the stream now, apparently. I don't think
they've had this stick they've been beating people with for that long, and it's worked for that long. Well, I think the whole racism thing's starting to die now because they've overused the card, but they're not going to give up that stick, and they're quite happy.
Well, it seems to me like something's forced them to push all of their agendas up for about 5 or 10. They're doing all this shit about 5 or 10 years too early, aren't they? They're nowhere near ready for the thing they're doing with advertising at the minute, where just blacks on every advert because normal people are noticing it.
No, yeah, exactly. It's not just blacks in every advert. It's interracial couples, and it's the thing that they're pushing. But when you look at the statistics, it's something like 8 to 12% of all. But when you look at that, it's not like it's black-white couples. It's white and every other race. So when you look at probably black and white, it's probably 5-4%, if that. Because we have his own problem in our circles of the yellow fever.
Yeah. Yeah, if they were showing like white man, yellow female, they'd be far more bang on, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, it'd be a lot closer, I think, genuinely, or white and Indian. You know what I mean? Cause
I think white man Indian's quite common because I know a few lads that have been with Indian gals.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, I live in Leicester, so I quite see that quite often. I think Leicester's fell. It's West Pakistan now, in my opinion.
Well, didn't it tip? I think it tipped when I used to work on the council there, and that was like 10 years ago. It tipped 51%, so it's way over that now.
Well, I was still in school when it happened, and there was this big celebration of it, and I just remember thinking, why are these people like embracing their own demise? I just never got it.
But you get the makeup. The makeup of complete schools has changed in Leicester, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Even when I was back in school, talking probably 11, 12 years ago, I finished school. So,
yeah. Even
then, it was massively. And it was very segregated as well, as I noticed. Like, you had all the black kids that socialised with their group, and all the Indians with theirs. And, like, really weird because the whites would be in every group, but there was always the smallest fraction.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think Bradford's a very similar story to Leicester, isn't it? There's obviously the you've got the Islamic Republic of Dewsbury, haven't you? That's was it? Well, it was. I can't remember how old that Daily Mail article is, but that's back then. There was only 400 white people left in Dewsbury. So
yeah, well, I'm not too old, so I'm in my 20s, so all this stuff kind of happened when I was younger, so I could only really take notice of what happened locally to me, but I know it's happening in a lot of places. I know Birmingham's pretty similar as well.
Yeah, but there's also the East Asian problem. Like a lot of people focus on like Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, but like the largest growing minority in England is actually Indians, isn't it? Indians in East Asia, the middle class as well. And the problem is that
I could divide it all up and show you. And Leicester is overwhelmingly Indian as well at the minute.
Well, that's the thing. When I worked in Leicester, by the postcode, you kind of roughly knew who'd be answering the door, whether it be a white person, an Indian, a Muslim, or a black. That's
the thing is that the problem with Indians and East Asians is that you're not going to get the same societal problems that you get with like Pakistanis and Muslims as a whole. Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and blacks, they're very fucking obvious. It's very obvious.
I disagree with you there, mate. Because I've seen it. Like I say, I've seen groups of Indians go to fight groups of Somalians and groups of Pakis because they just don't like each other.
Yeah,
And
but
because they've got the numbers now, maybe they're not as aggressive in small numbers like the Muslims and the Pakistanis and that. But when the Indians know they've got an overwhelming large group, they don't give a fuck either.
yeah, the biggest problem with Indians as well is that their average income is higher. So generally speaking, a lot of people won't see a problem, if that makes sense, because they won't be as violent. Like an example would be the Chinese. Like when the Chinese come to any country, like most people don't have a problem with them because they're not fucking.
Well, that's the thing with the Chinese. They're insidious, aren't they?
Yeah. They'll leave you alone because they've got the long-term goal. They're like, don't worry, just we'll outbreed them, definitely.
To quote Obi-Wan from Star Wars, they go single file to hide their numbers, don't they?
Yeah, they leave you alone. They're like, we'll leave you alone. Don't worry, Englishmen. We'll leave you alone.
They don't agitate for rights or anything, do they? They just fucking carry on quietly in the fucking background.
Politics.
Yeah.
And then about 20 years later, you think, shit, that's fucking. It's like in Australia. This is happening in Australia, isn't it, by array, where there's just loads of Chinese everywhere, and people are like,
that's been happening for a long time because Romper Stomper's fucking 30 years old now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, don't they own about 30% of Melbourne now or something? They've just been buying properties up. I think their biggest problem is they've done it a bit too early. Instead of waiting until they've got a base of power everywhere, everyone's looking at what's going on with Australia. And like I said earlier, I think China's about ready to get his shit pushed in by everyone. So, you know what I mean? I think that's happening in our lifetime, and I think we're going to see America split up into multiple states in our lifetime.
Yeah, but America's fucking gone, isn't it? Like, they're dead.
Yeah, they're on the death throes. They're about ready to balkanise. It's just how many countries are going to come out of it and where the lines are going to be.
They're basically just going to be fucking mestizo motherfuckers, aren't they? Like America are.
I think they can hold it together because of their rampant fucking libertarianism. I think that's what prevents people. That's why they're keeping white people poor, isn't it? So they can avoid the balkanisation.
I think we're going to see the South secede, or some of the South secede, and that'll be the beginning of it. You're going to see California want to leave because they're one of the highest income areas. It wouldn't surprise me if Mexico completely steamrolls them as soon as they do it. They're about ready to split up.
But if Trump was clever, if Trump was clever and he really wanted what he said he was, I think what I'd have done because California is like the biggest problem America's got, isn't it? So what I'd have done, I'd have just given California to Mexico. I'd have walled it off and given it to Mexico. That's what I would have done.
I think I'm going to shoot off now because my phone's about to die.
Nice
talking to you, lad.
Catch you later, mate.
See you in a bit, mate. It's good talking to you. Yeah, see you in a bit.
Yeah, hopefully I will do again in the future if you do these call-ins more.
Yeah, I might
do on my Discord as well. Like I've got a Discord, and sometimes I do streams and that.
Yeah, I might download Discord. Then I avoided that because it's very central and it's all run by fucking.
Not really. You'll just. It's not as bad as people make out. You don't come across them if you don't go looking for them.
No, just don't go in weird servers. If you go in weird servers, you'll find those fuckers. But I think it's great.
Anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Any burning issues?
I don't know.
This is how you do. Like, this is how Iron Duke should do it. You don't have to bore people to fucking death. But when you talk about a subject, do you talk about fucking whatever they fucking talk about? I was watching Academic Agent the other day.
Oh god. The thing is, we're completely fucked. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and it's all over. That's all I've got to say on it.
Yeah. I wonder who Vinnie Sullivan was. Do you think that was the actual Vinnie Sullivan? I don't think it was.
Could have been the actual Vinnie Sullivan.
Why didn't he fucking say something then? Is he a bit shy?
Could be.
Yeah. Every server I'm in is a weird server, says Punish John Kelly. The middle class of all ethnic groups are nomadic and cowardly. They're no treat. I think that's basically the problem, isn't it? Because don't we tend to get like the middle class? We only get the ones that can afford to pay the people trafficker, which means they're not really fucking poor people we're getting over here, are we?
The middle class are not nationalistic anyway. They never have been. Lots of they literally don't give a fuck about
they're just desperate to get up the ladder, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about race or anything. This is why class is important. The only people who give a fuck about nationalism are the working class or maybe the upper class. But even the upper class only want nationalism so they can weaponize it. They don't give a fuck about
the only
nation.
time the middle class get involved is when they're in a situation like Cornelius, where they take in a refugee and he kicks fuck out of them. That's the only time you'll see them become nationalists, when they realise what these people are actually like. But until then, don't fucking hold your breath and expect the middle class. I mean, what was that? Do you remember that shit that Tassob said once when they said it's the dynamic is top and bottom versus middle? I mean, what the fuck kind of claptrap is that?
It's a load of bollocks, yeah. The middle class don't. I mean, I argue the middle class and the upper class don't give a fuck about their nation. They don't, literally. Like, the upper class are the ones who are doing all of this. I think it's absurd to, if people like Bayer Ray who want to, that's what he sort of fucking believes, doesn't he? It's like he believes in fucking capitalism and all this gay shit.
Capitalism's a tool. It's nothing more. You have a bit of capitalism, a bit of socialism, and that's how you run a country, don't you? Capitalism should be used as a bit of carrot, and you should have a bit of carrot, bit of stick, shouldn't you? Bit of capitalism, bit of socialism. That's how you run a country properly, don't you? Have a bit of this and a bit of that, and you use those as levers to get what you want from what you want the country to do, don't you?
Right. Yeah. The problem is, though, is that when you have any bit of capitalism, I argue that it always results in this, what we've got right fucking now.
Well, you need a strong and definite leader for the country, don't you? And that's you're not going to get that under democracy, are you?
Not really.
You need long-term planning. You need everyone pulling them.
Yavid.
What's that, mate?
Again?
He'd be a strong leader for the country,
Oh, do you remember before Boris was PM, they were tipping him to become PM, weren't they? Sajid Javid.
Really? Oh my God.
Can you imagine the crowing that the Tories will do when you get either Sajid Javid or who's that other fucking Indian prick, the Sunak? And the Tories will go, you see the left, you're right, you're the racist ones. We're not racist. We had the first black PM. That's literally what the Tories will do, won't they?
We had the first Australian Aborigine, the senior VP.
Yeah.
Because conservatism is about conserving the free market. That's what it's about.
Yeah. It's about conserving the rights of Amazon.
It's about opposing the insane lunacy of Labour's socialism.
Right, yeah. And they're not identical in any way.
Right,
and getting GB News cancelled. That's what it's about.
It's about conserving
GB
market.
News. Has GB News been cancelled then, has it? I think the main reason it's cancelled, I think no one's watching because it doesn't really appeal to anybody, does it? It's only going to be like... It's only going to be like marginally less. You're probably going to get like 3 less trannies than you would normally on BBC. That's going to be the difference in it.
Well, it was more on Twitter, they were all kicking off saying that because they weren't going to do woke shit, so it was like, oh, so you're just going to be the BBC from the 2000s. Great.
Yeah, they're not going to be anti-woke. They're just not going to do it, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Neil's taken a break from GB News already.
Were they gonna get Piers Morgan as a co-host too?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, on-air staff, Nana Akua. Who the fuck is Nana Akua? Colin Brazier, ex-Sky.
Namakuma.
Nana Akua. Nana Akua.
Nana Uber.
Nana Kuma. That sounds degenerate.
Nana Kuma. Yeah, Gloria Di Piero is a British journalist and former Labour Party politician. I mean, these are the on-air staff according to to Wikipedia. Michelle Dewberry, raging fucking shitlib feminist bitch.
Oh wow.
Oh god, Dehenna Sheridan Davison is a British Conservative Party politician. She's got to be like upper class, which means you can't fucking trust her. David Donaldson, Coach Dowds, I don't know who they are. Andrew Doyle.
What's this meme, isn't it? It's Conservatives in 2040. I'm all for flying illegal immigrants into this country, but paying first class for them goes too far. Every church should only have 3 trans kids priests. More than that's communism.
Andrew Doyle.
Oh yeah, the left are the real paedophobes.
Andrew Doyle. Do you remember when fucking Unwashed had a real fucking hard on for him? He wanted to go after them, didn't they?
Who's that?
Titania McGrath on Twitter.
Oh right, that's a parody account, isn't it?
Yeah, was it Jonathan Pye as well? He does, doesn't he? Nigel Farage. I mean, the less said about Nigel. Let's get Tony Blair to handle the COVID. Farage. The less
he
said
that, did he?
Yeah, he said that. Yeah.
Well, it's like the cringe boot. Oh, I wish it was the 60s again. I mean, yeah, it was less, but it's like literally, I wish it was like 90s Labour again. Cheers, Nige.
Another presenter they've got on GB News is Inaya following Iman.
You know.
So
like already the diverse and gay.
Yeah.
So what was Twitter's problem?
There's 3 columns of this shit. Kirsty Gallagher, like some Sky News bitch, is like really real fucking
like,
hard hitting journalism.
This network then, like, it's literally just like ITV/Sky News, isn't it?
Yeah,
they just conserve the status quo, don't they? That's all the Conservatives ever do.
Tom Harwood. Isn't Tom Harwood basically a fucking shit lib, although he's supposed to be like, conservative?
They'll get Owen Jones as a presenter on it next.
Yeah. He's a right winger. Yeah.
Mercy Moroki is a Kenyan British researcher and television presenter. She's one of their presenters. Andrew Neil's kind of all right, but he's not gonna really try and stop anything, is he?
Yeah. Who are these people handpicked by then?
Who runs it? I think we did look into who runs it. I don't know. But none of them. They're not looking to fucking reinvent the wheel, are they? They've just realised that.
Like, I don't think they'd even be as based as Tucker, and even he's like pretty cooked. He's just the worst of a bad. He's just the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, none of these people are going to go against any kind of standard political lines, are they? They might go. Go on.
I was going to say that any fucking conservative, the only thing they want to conserve is they have this warped view of conservatism as well, where it's just about economics. They're economically liberal, and the left are culturally liberal. And that's the kosher sandwich you have. You have a culturally liberal, and you have an economic.
Yeah, well, at the moment, the left gets everything they want socially, and the conservatives get everything they want economically.
Yeah, and it works well because the elites like that. They're like, okay, we actually like both of those things.
It's the worst of both worlds. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like both of these make me money. So
I got blocked. I got blocked on Twitter by Conservative Home because they were congratulating Ruth Davidson on. Well, I don't know whether she'd had a turkey baster baby or whether she'd adopted a fucking baby. But Ruth Davidson is the Conservative in Scotland. The big butch bulldog lesbian.
Yeah, real Tory there.
Yeah, and that's fucking. It's like what I was like. What the fuck are you doing?
No Tories allowed. Do you reckon that's all those birds on Tinder that say never kissed a Tory? They mean her.
Yeah. Probably. It's what the fuck are we going to do with conservatism? Because it's just like liberalism, isn't it? I think that's the best.
Well, they are liberals,
but it's propped up by
both are liberals. Like the left are not even real socialists, and the right are not even real conservatives. They're both liberals. Yeah. They're just both liberals, and the thing is, the Conservatives don't even push back culturally. Like their goal, their purpose is to push back against cultural liberalism. They don't even do that.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Interdimensional
Interdimensional Lizards fleshed out some of the GB stuff. Yeah, they got a lot of money from Discovery. The Discovery Channel. So,
right, yeah. So basically, what's happened is the Discovery Channel has said you need to stop being conservative, so you need to start being more liberal. That's what's going to happen.
You need basically what it is people are turning off the BBC in droves, but we still need to keep them on the political mainstream. We still need to keep them on track. So what we need you to be is pretend to be right wing, even though you're just slightly right of absolutely fucking degenerate liberal.
Yeah, you're not totally degenerate, but you're still degenerate. They're still degenerate as fuck. They're still
like at least half of like the it's like agree with all this shit and don't see a problem with it. So that's what you're contending in as well.
Yeah, most people don't give a fuck.
Most people just go along to get along. If Hitler's marching down the street, Sieg Heil, they're fine with that. But then if Stalin's in charge, killing the kulaks, they're equally fine with that, aren't they? So it's just like that's the way most people are.
Most people don't give a fuck about anything. And the thing is that liberalism, which like promotes hedonism and all that bullshit, most people love that shit. Like, but by default, human beings are immoral. Like, if you want to, being a moral person and doing the virtuous thing and the right thing is harder than just being an absolute degenerate fucking scumbag.
I don't know, man. Like, it's really not too difficult to get anal worms all over your dick and have it covered in shit, and it's even less difficult to call that true love,
Yeah. Well, most people do say,
I think a lot of people know something's not right with society, but I think they don't. They just don't have the knowledge and the vocabulary to verbalise it, do they?
Yeah, but even with the knowledge, like most people will not pass the Asian bird test. Like if I say, okay, you're an ethno-nationalist, here's a smoking hot fucking Chinese bird or a Jewish bird with big milkers, 99% of them would fail straight away.
Oh, sorry, I didn't finish the rest of the interdimensional lizards thing. So the rest of the money for GB News came from the UAE investment firm Legaturn and hedge fund manager Paul Marshall.
Great.
So basically, as far right as they're going to go is Ben Shapiro. Don't be mean. Don't question the companies because it's illegal. Or it should be.
Well, they're the wrong far right. Like, you can be far right in a wrong way. Like, you can be far right in the sense that I want a complete unregulated fucking market. It's like, that's wrong far right.
Wasn't that a thought? Like, just real quick, like, with, obviously we talked about how the Conservatives, literally, it's just economic liberalism, etc., with little to no regulation. And people are like, well, why do corporations have disproportionate power and all that? Well, it's exactly because of that. Because it's a mutually beneficial arrangement, right?
Yeah, it's this. But where the fuck did this Ben Shapiro? I know I'm going to get in the chat, but where the fuck did this Ben Shapiro? You can't do anything to governments can't do anything to a company. Thinking, where the fuck did that come from? All of a sudden, like the monopolies,
liberals.
Yeah.
Well, to be frank, Margaret Thatcher and Milton Friedman and all those got the gang. What's his name? Reagan as well.
But Margaret Thatcher Margaret Thatcher still had the Monopolies and Mergers Commission, and they were shitting on Murdoch all day long. Because I remember, I remember from when I was a kid. News stories.
Her line of thought started it though. Like she did start that. Like the thing is, she didn't obviously know where this was leading. Like when neoliberalism came a thing. They didn't realize where it was going. It's resulted in this mess we've got right now, but it still started it.
Well, Tony Blair was the final boss of Thatcherism, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I don't even know if Tony Blair was. I think David Cameron probably was because he brought in gay marriage.
Yeah, they all do that shit.
Tony Blair didn't even dare bring in gay marriage, but David Cameron had no problem with it whatsoever.
The thing is the reason why it was brought in is because, admittedly, when the benefits of neoliberalism or economic liberalism is that it does have some benefits, like in regards to like GDP that increases. In regards to GDP per capita, that increases to a certain degree. It all depends who you are. Like, if you're a really, really wealthy person and you only give a fuck about money, then admittedly, economic liberalism is fucking great for you. The problem is that it's not great for everyone. Like, if you're just a normal fucking citizen, then you're getting fucked by it.
In all these like university and college classes across the Western world where they allegedly do like a economics fucking commie class and explain like how some of this stuff works, you'd think they'd be more wise to it. So they must teach it wrong, because from the reading that I've done, in terms of shit that's actually worked, it's like, oh right, so that's how that fucking works, you know?
Oh, how about this one then? This would be a good one, because Phil's head's going to explode when I read this one out. Barre says, I can believe in a global centre-left conspiracy because there's tremendous evidence, but the worst you can say about the centre-right is they didn't do enough to stop them. The thing is, the centre-right won exactly the same as the centre-left, but for different reasons, don't they, Phil?
Yeah, they didn't do enough to stop them. What the fuck are you on about? Like, no, right, most people who have got political, like the capitalists knew.
But I literally just said that David Cameron brought in gay marriage. That's not the centre right failing to stop the centre left.
Yes, it is. Like, no, they didn't fail. They just don't give a fuck. Right. The thing is, Byron, is that most capitalists, don't give a shit about any of this, because it might negatively affect you as a normal working class person. But if I'm a fucking billionaire, mass migration only gives me positives. My property prices increase. I get cheap labor. I've still got my big fuck off mansion and my fucking white little village and stuff. They don't give a fuck about you. Capitalism is not about giving a fuck about other people. It's about private ownership of the means of production. And the problem is that people naturally, in a state of nature, people literally don't give a fuck about other people. They only give a fuck about themselves. Ultimately, you have to force nationalism onto people, and you have to force morality onto people. The state of nature is people are evil.
I disagree there. I disagree somewhat. I think people instinctually are like somewhat social animals, because hang on, I'll just finish this cigarette and then I'll finish this thought.
Okay, everyone's gone at once. So I'll talk. So what were we saying? I've completely lost my thread. Mass immigration also benefits the government because it gets them far. No, by rate, it doesn't get them. Maybe it does, but that's not the real reason they want mass immigration. Mass immigration is encouraged because they can borrow more money the more people they have in a country.
I was just going to say, like, in nature, you know, removed from social conditioning, which obviously I don't know what you actually think, Phil, but we've, as far as I know, come to the conclusion that you have to be conditioned to be a liberal in many ways. But in-group preference is pretty instinctual, you know, not liking.
It's been successfully destroyed.
You look at medieval villages or even caveman times; they didn't accept that stuff, but they still worked together as a tribe.
Well, back in the old days, you used to hate people from the next village over, didn't you? It was like them fucking wankers from up the road.
Yeah. But it's like, and people say that's not a good thing. It's like, well, okay, but we can actually look at the absolute decay of society from the conditioning. So, like, I don't know. I think in a state of nature, people do align far more. Well, that's why it's sort of called traditionalism, because it evolved from that, removed from, you know, this influence that makes everyone like degenerate shit in many ways. So I think I don't think that it has to be forced upon you. But remember, people grow up in a world where there's literally no mainstream alternative. So it's, oh, that's just how it is. Oh, that's okay. But, you know, even as a kid, I know.
You only have to force it for a generation or two, don't you? And then it becomes second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, as a kid, though, like, I don't know, my views haven't really changed because those are my instincts, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
it was even less for me because I didn't have social media. But I mean, can you imagine one of the modern kids growing up with nothing but social media and nothing but, you know, black and white women, black men and white women?
And that's why you want everyone interconnected. So it's like, you know, they do talk to people internationally and all that, but it's like, I don't know, like
well, that's part of the reason that the COVID was a godsend for them, because you can have people trapped in their homes and the only thing they know of the outside world is what they get piped in, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it does depend on the area you were in, but even I remember in the aughts to the early 2010, like there was none of this shit around. like the huge push for all this stuff, and like people say, "Oh, it's a big horseshoe." I don't think it is. Like, what have they backtracked on? You know?
No, I mean that's the thing. Both sides want the same things for different reasons, don't they?
Well, it's
the left want the mass immigration because they want to feel better about themselves. They've got their little Jesus complex going on, and the right want it because they want to drive down wages and drive up property prices.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like xenocentrism is taught. Like, you put people in a state of nature removed from all this shit. Well, no, they will have. They'll be ethnocentric.
I actually disagree. Well, I don't disagree. I think it really depends on where you are in the hierarchy, pretty much. Now, the reason why people have ethnocentrism is based on there can be different reasons why they have ethnocentrism. An example would be in the past, like there was the working class, like the working classes and the middle classes were.
Yeah, well, Phil, real quick, as we all know now, Henry VIII did run off with Anne Boleyn, who was a minority.
Well, yeah, but this is the point. Like the elites of our society, they're only ethnocentric when it's in their interest to be that way. Like an example would be, yeah, that's how it is for everyone, pretty much.
Well, how do you explain?
I think, having some sort of international cooperation isn't necessarily a bad thing. You've always got to have diplomacy and all that shit, but it's just like, don't replace your own fucking people. That's like the first instinct. One of the basic.
Yeah, but
how do you explain deportation of criminals then, Phil?
What deportation?
Because that must have been massively expensive, mustn't it?
Expensive, but they deported criminals for that. They were starting colonies with them, weren't they? When they were deporting criminals, they were starting colonies with them.
Use them for something.
Money off it.
Slave labour. So it was like a slave labour thing, much, then, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's people can have nationalism for different reasons. That's the whole point. Like you can have bourgeois nationalism, i.e., that people can weaponize that if they've got an enemy. Or so, like an example would be if I'm a billionaire and I've got a competitor in China or some bullshit, I could become nationalistic in the sense that I'm like, yeah, fuck China. Because they're my enemy, so I'm only pragmatically and
pretty much. If you believed what Trump was saying at face value, that's basically what he was doing, wasn't he? If that was what he actually if he had actually done that and intended to do that, there would have been like a massive trade war between America and China, wouldn't there?
One of the theories I heard floated was Kushner, who was people like, what the fuck? Why isn't Trump delivering on anything? And it was basically Kushner's presidency because Trump couldn't even go and have a shit without fucking Kushner basically like a dog, like putting his nose under the little crack underneath the door. Like, yeah. And that's why he was so ineffective, because he had this fucking,
Yeah. So what was By Ray said something. Oh, he said, but the centre left has been the vanguard of this movement. If it was the centre left throughout the Anglosphere who slowly reduced the restrictions on immigration. The thing is though, the centre left. If our politics was good for business, everyone would be right wing right now, wouldn't they, Phil? Is my opinion on it.
And the thing is, it's that the centre right haven't reduced immigration either. Like what the fuck you know, like when they've been in power.
But what I mean is the blue-haired cat ladies and stuff like that only have power because it suits the aims of the capitalists.
Yeah, they have cultural power.
Yeah,
they have cultural. See, the thing is, like lefties, they have got a different. They don't get their economics. Like they don't get fucking socialism. They don't get that. They get capitalism, and they rage against that. They're always raging against capitalism, but they don't get any control of capitalism. The right gets that. The right gets what it wants, free markets and all that bullshit. The right is delusional when it believes that free markets does not result in immigration and all this gay shit. They work in harmony with each other. And the point is that
nationalism still supports business. It's just a more equitable, everyone can have more of a piece of the pie in many ways. Like, the country itself will thrive.
Nationalism implies looking after your own people. It infers that you have to like. The reality is that if we reduced immigration right now or stopped it, we would have a shortage of labour. And if you've got a shortage of labour, you're going to have to invest in your own people, and those people are going to be the unemployed, the lower classes in society, and you're not going to have a free market. You're going to have a highly regulated market. You're going to be protectionist.
There's millions of unemployed right now. So what you were saying on the stream the other day, the labor shortage is absolute fucking bullshit. It's like people will do any job as long as they're paid a living wage.
Right, yeah. So that's why if you're a nationalist, you're going to have to fucking be against a free market, so to speak. You're going to have to be that way. A free market will not result in nationalism. No way. Yeah. Or even if it's going to be a highly regulated market. That's how nationalism is. It's going to be a highly regulated market, and you are going to have to invest in your own people. You're going to have to tax people more, and you're going to have to pay people.
Let's start a commune where we all, walk around in skinny jeans and sip lattes.
The thing is that with socialism as well, like socialists have to accept the fact that if you're going to have socialism, you are going to have to become nationalistic. You've got no choice in that, because every time socialism has existed, the entire planet of like capitalists and that have been trying to attack them, and they've had to become nationalistic. Even the Soviet Union started to become nationalistic. I mean, look at North Korea. North Korea is nationalistic. It's if you oppose capitalism,
I still remember the first McDonald's in Moscow was like huge news, wasn't it? And that was literally capitalism planting its flag in there, wasn't it? That's the first step of the invasion of capitalism, isn't it? McDonald's and Levi's jeans, isn't it? Or it used to be.
Russia's fought back. It has fought back, and you might think that Russia's controlling capitalism and liberalism. It's doing a pretty good job. But if you go to Moscow and St. Petersburg and that, they're fucking metropolitan as fuck areas of Russia. And this is how it starts. As soon as when you have capitalism, you necessarily get liberalism. Liberalism and capitalism. Liberalism is the political structure of society that works in harmony.
I should imagine Russia as well is probably much like England, where the TV stations are all based in Moscow, and that's the problem. Is once your capital city falls to liberalism, then liberalism radiates outwards, doesn't it? Because that's where culture is radiated out from, isn't it?
Just what you were saying before, as well, there's this absurd idea you can sanction entire countries, but you can't sanction businesses or corporations that have monopolies. It's absurd.
Or you got to listen to their demand. Earlier this week, these corporations are basically saying, well, we necessarily need foreign workers, and they've got the ability to sort of change legislation.
Hold on, I've got another one. I've got another one from Blair Ray for you. Phil believes that the syndicalist socialists of centre-left parties in the early 20th century onward did the bidding of capitalists by slowly reducing immigration restrictions on immigration. Real schizo. No, that's not. Well, I don't know what Phil's saying. I'll let Phil speak in a sec. But what I'm saying is that it was allowed to be pushed through because it suited the capitalists. So what the capitalists did was either because they were in government, they were Tory MPs, or they were paying the Tory MPs to shut the fuck up about it. They allowed it to go through, didn't they?
Pretty much, yeah. Like the thing is that it's not just the right wing that's been gay up. Like we've discussed earlier, the fact that conservatives, they believe that being a conservative means supporting an entirely free market. That's what they believe. They believe it's allowing corporations to do whatever the fuck they feel like.
The left were never globalist. Bob Crow in the 70s, the union leaders were never open borders. Union leaders are incredibly protectionist.
They were, they were in fact very.
It shows you the lack of creativity in the modern student, because they'll be taught all this shit. Here's the site. It's like, I'm not gonna mix and match or have a think about this, Yeah.
I mean, the thing. The problem is that a lot of socialists, like people on the left, I'm not including liberals, but like socialists on the left, they have a hard time accepting that nationalism and socialism can work, mainly because of Karl Marx. Karl Marx believed that nationalism was like an extension of private property, but it's something that they're unwilling to accept. They're unwilling to accept that internationalism supports the bourgeoisie. So that's why the power structure will allow their cultural policies, because a lot of people on the left are
Well,
unwilling
the left
accept.
also think it's great that we've got Filipino nurses, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they haven't been confronted with them. Like, if you're a socialist and you're like, yeah, I love Filipino nurses, they've never been confronted by people who've said, well, actually, that encourages brain drain. It helps the elites and things like that. They've never been confronted with that. They live in this fucking. And in fact, they've been gay upped into all this intersectionality shit now, where they don't even talk about class or economics. They just talk about cultural bullshit all the time. So what happens is the left are always talking about cultural bullshit and never talking about economics at all. And the right are only talking about economics and
never putting forth any cultural, are they?
No, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the happy dynamic.
It's we'll have some liberalism, but not that much. And then when it arrives, all of a sudden, I know this has been said a million times, but once the new thing arrives, it's like, oh well, we'll conserve that, but not that much. And then the conservatives just put the brakes on pretty much. They say, hold on a minute, you're going a bit too far, but we'll have liberalism, but we'll just we'll control it so it doesn't get out of hand. Because obviously, if you allow cultural liberalism to go with no fucking brakes on, it will just straight up destroy a fucking nation straight up. Just like if you allow economic liberalism, that will obviously destroy a nation as well. The problem is that neither of them are controlling each other. The right wing are not pushing back in regards to cultural shit at all.
Oh shit! I've just found some breaking news. George Floyd's statue has been defaced by Patriot Front.
But yeah, the other thing is that whenever someone does speak out and say, no, that's fucking bollocks, it's cancel this, cancel that, lose everything. So
yeah, there's a whole checklist of views that you have to conform to. It's all pretty cleverly done, isn't it? Because instead of like having a political ideology, they just have a list of things that they have to be.
That's the thing. It's as gay as GB News was. Like, as soon as they tried sort of an alternative, they were immediately
a mild alternative as well. I mean, you get the left trying to cancel people like Ben Shapiro. I mean, Ben Shapiro is, what does Ben Shapiro really fight the left on? He doesn't, does he?
Not really. Nothing.
Banks don't care about your feelings.
I mean, he's always on Dave Rubin's show, and he's he ain't bothered about gays, is he?
No,
it's about anything.
Yeah.
The thing is, as well, is that it's that is the case. Yeah, they don't do anything. And the thing is, it's not just the right that gets cancelled. Like, when lefties, I don't know, they become a bit fucking based and they become nationalistic and shit. They're called red fascists, aren't they?
So,
yeah. That feminist that said, what was it? She was like, "No, women exist."
Well, Bob Crow,
was absolute uproar.
Bob Crow, the old lefty Labour union leader, would be a fucking Nazi now, wouldn't he, Phil?
He would, yeah. He would, yeah. Stalin, people on the left attack Stalin. They attack Stalin or even Lenin. Like, the thing is that everyone's controlled. Like, if you're on the right and you become nationalistic or try to regulate the market in any way. If you try and regulate the market in any way, they'll call you a communist.
Ray's saying, don't be concerned about foreign middle class people coming to Britain. They're nomadic and cowardly. Be concerned about working class replacement. I honestly believe the tap is probably going to be turned off on the unskilled workers. I think it's good because have you noticed that Priti Patel's starting to deport people and stop boats coming over and things like that, isn't she now? So I think the tap's going to be turned off on unskilled. I think the next attack will be on the middle class.
After they spent all of COVID literally ferrying them in and nothing was done about it.
Because the working class is done now, aren't they? There's nothing more they need to do to decimate the working class, is there?
No, they've already been gay up. Like, if you walk around working class areas, most people are Polish, Pakistani, or fucking Romanian. It's already been done. So like the middle class, they're the next target. And the problem is that it's going to get to the point where the middle class will not.
Well, it's kind of already well into it, because whenever you go to the doctors, it's a Pakistan, it's an Indian, isn't it? It's an Indian or some other foreigner.
And they do such a good job. They're so necessary.
Yeah. I mean, let just forget about those malpractice statistics.
Yeah. And you definitely needed them with, it's not like they can print the degree off or anything,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a degree out of New Delhi Backstreet University is exactly the same as any medical degree in England, isn't it?
Well, can I just say something to Byron though? The problem is, Byron, this is the free market. You got a problem with the way the world is. The beauty of the free market, the invisible hand. You haven't got a problem with this, have you? Freedom of movement, liberalism, all of this. That doesn't, it's the free market, guy. You haven't got a problem with this, have you?
The free market died for your sins.
Yeah. Well, you got what? You got
if it actually did, that would be amazing, because it'd go away and then it'd die, and we'd realise what a dumb idea it was.
Beauty of capitalism, amazing, love it.
The borders are controlled by the government, not the market, Phil.
Oh right, yeah. No, the government is separate from the market. I love that one where libertarians will act like the government is like a completely separate entity. And the people inside the government are not motivated by like their own self-interest or anything.
By Ray, see if you can find there's an article from the Private Eye. It's called The Revolving Door. See if you can find it online, by Ray, because you really need to read that. It's about all of the ex-ministers that then went on to join massive companies.
Well, yeah, like it's very clearly the case that the government is run by the capitalists, like very fucking clear. You don't have to be a fucking genius to work that shit out. They don't represent normal people. They claim to represent normal people, but they can't. I think Brexit and COVID should be perfect. Oh man, it really. Like regards to Brexit, they're like, yeah, fuck you. You're not getting Brexit. And they haven't done Brexit. They serve their own self-interests. They just pretend like they serve your interests.
There you go, Phil. Side chat. I don't know whether you want to do whether you want to do a show on it or not. But there you go. I can't believe the government is corrupt. I'm utterly shocked. Well, who's it? Byron knows what's wrong, but he doesn't know why it's wrong. That's what makes me laugh about Byron. It's like, who's corrupting it? You're not asking the right questions, Byron.
Why is it corrupt though? It's just people serving their own self-interest. They're capitalists, and they're acting in their own self-interest. It's not corrupt. What have you got a problem with this? You know what I mean? Why is it corrupt? They're just trying to, the Tories, the Conservatives, they're trying to make a free market. And they are trying to make a free market. They want economic liberalism and cultural liberalism.
What, the EU? Is it free? Was it
free market?
What are the actual words? It's the free movement of capital and labour, isn't it? In the EU? That's one of the tenets of the EU.
I suggest that Byron reads up on his Messiah, Milton Friedman or Hayek or Mises, and all of these people supported freedom of movement. What, are you against the freedom of movement and you call yourself a capitalist? What kind of capitalist are you, Byron? This is really good for the economy. That's all that matters, the economy.
Yeah, but the problem's not capitalism, Phil. It's corruption.
Oh, right, yeah, corruption, because corruption and capitalism don't go hand in hand, do they? You know what I mean? Of course, yeah. When you've got people motivated by their own self-interest and private ownership of the means of production, they automatically start giving a fuck about people, don't they?
Apparently there's no corruption in socialist governments. Again, Byron, who is doing the corrupting?
Whataboutism. Whataboutism. It's like we live in capitalism.
Yeah, but it's not even whataboutism.
Problems.
But it's not even whataboutism, Phil, because it's exactly the same people that are trying to corrupt socialist governments are the ones that are trying to corrupt capitalist governments. It's the same people trying to corrupt both.
Capitalists trying to corrupt fucking socialist governments, and capitalists trying to corrupt capitalist socialist governments.
Yeah.
Because watching it, they just it's people motivated by their own self-interest, right? Doing this, and that's like a fundamental feature of capitalism. Like, and you have not got a single example of a capitalist state that didn't become global. Like, the problem I've got with BioRay is that you live in a capitalist system right now, and all your problems that you're complaining about exist under capitalism. They don't exist under fucking socialism, does it? Because we don't have socialism, and we've never had socialism in England or Australia.
Well, we've always had a fair percentage. We've always had a decent percentage. Well, not always. Probably since after the war, hasn't it? We've had a fair amount of socialism.
Well, we've had some policies that have been socialistic, but we haven't had socialism really. Like the majority, we've had worker co-ops and things like that, but the country has been guided by private ownership. That's what it's been generally guided by. That's what it is, really. But like the point I'm going to say is, it's like all of your problems, BioRay, are with capitalism. They are with capitalism. We don't live under socialism. It isn't the socialists bringing the immigrants in, is it? Who's bringing the immigrants in, BioRay? Is it socialists?
BioRay's saying socialist governments are far more corrupt than capitalist democracies because the citizens can't vote them out or violently overthrow them.
You can vote them out. I love it. What? How are you voting them out exactly? Because I don't think you're voting them out, are you really? Like, even if you vote, let's say you're against Labour, right, and then you replace them with the Conservative Party, how are they any different, really? And here's the problem, right, with our country, England. It's not even the case that the people you vote for are the people who determine like legislation. We have the House of Lords. Like, the House of Lords approves or rejects legislation. So that they're the people, and you don't vote them out. You've got no way of voting them out. And here's the problem you've got as well. Like, power comes top down in England. It doesn't come from, like, there's this idea that under democracy, power goes from bottom up, and it's not that at all. Because the way that people vote, to start off with, is that they get their opinions from the media, they get their opinions from peers. So the people at the top of the hierarchy direct public opinion, and the people.
Well, I'm actually going to agree with BioRay on this comment. He says, in fairness, maybe it's because democratic participation is incredibly low. This is a couple of things that we need to get through our heads. Is one, only 30% of people are voting. Only 30% of people are turning out to vote. And the reason that old people get so much is because they're the ones that vote. Is that MPs will only appeal to the people that vote for them. So there is some way there is a way of turning the tide, but you know.
Yeah, but where do people get their opinions from?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they get their opinions from the people at the top. Like, most people, when you talk to them, be they a lefty or a right winger, they get their opinions from the media and from the education system and from people higher up in the hierarchy, the people with power. The people with power don't lose power. They're always in. You can remove a party and another party's in, but you still get the same shit no matter who you vote for. Like, you vote for Labour, UKIP, or Conservative. They're identical pretty much. They keep the status quo. You don't really vote people out. You might vote the Tories out, but like I've said, they like this country.
You don't vote the paymaster. You don't vote the people that are donating to them out, do you?
No, do you fuck? They're still around. Like, the capitalists are the people who control the parties. Like the way that the parties are funded to start off with, they need funding from certain people, so they're funded by elites or whatever. You know, like really, really wealthy people. And if let's say you vote the Tories out, well, that's good for them because, like I've said, that Labour never get their social reform, their economic reforms, and the Conservatives never get their social reforms.
Well, so the Conservatives will get every single social reform they wanted currently because they have an outright majority. Anything they want will get pushed through the government, but they won't do it.
Well, it must be the case that everyone in England who voted for the Tories supports all of the liberalism that the Conservatives believe in. It must be that because it's democracy after all. Or it could be the case.
I think the best way to reform democracy would be to get rid of the get rid of the party system. So you've got to get rid
of the media as well. You've got to control the media, because the thing is that what people vote for, like the beauty of it is that you believe that you're going to change society by voting for Conservatives or Labour or whatever. But like I said, most people get their opinions from the education system or the media. The people who control the media, right? They control public opinion. So when people,
if you got rid of the party system, that would stop some of that, because because that MP would be beholden to his local area to stay in power, wouldn't he? Rather than some mythical idealist idea of what each party represents.
But you've also got to control the media, because the media controls public opinion. Most people don't even have real opinions. They get their opinions from the media. The media is funded by their fucking paymaster, obviously. So even when people are going out to vote, or they're like, oh, I'm against this, I'm for this, most of their opinions have been created by people higher up on the hierarchy that they want you to have. So people don't actually vote for shit, really. People vote for what the establishment wants. They have like an illusion of choice, where it's like, oh, do I choose between Labour and I have cultural liberalism, or do I choose Conservative and I have economic liberalism? And you have an equal divide of newspapers that are in favour, or newspapers and media outlets that support cultural liberalism, and you have the reverse, that's economic liberalism. And it's a happy sandwich where who you're voting for, it makes no difference, because the elites in society want both to a large degree. And that's why we have like what usually happens in the Western world is that you have a party like Labour or Conservative Party, and you have them for about 10 years, maybe, if they're really successful. And then that switches over to the other side, and that's another 10 years. And while you've got 10 years of the Tory party, you can expect economic liberalism, and then you have 10 years of the Labour Party.
If you look at David Cameron, it includes social liberalism as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, because he's a Conservative, the jobs of him is to sort of put the brakes on a little bit. He's like, you're not going to have entirely cultural. I am very liberal now, but it's like, here's what's going to happen. It's like the Tory party are going to have control for about 10 years. That they're going to be very economically liberal. And like they're going to bring loads of immigrants in, all that sort of bullshit, and deregulate the market and all that crap. And then for 10 years, they'll keep everything the way it is now.
Did you remember hearing that stat about Theresa May? Theresa May brought in more immigration than is it 1,000 years before her?
Of course she did. It's like even Margaret Thatcher brought immigrants in, like more than the Labour Party. Like you've pointed out before, like the old school Labour Party. Obviously, they were fucked in regards to how they run the economy or whatever, but they were fucking staunchly against immigration. In fact, at one point, they actually proposed some legislation that stopped English people marrying foreigners. They're the ones who put that legislation in place. They were not the same Labour Party that exists now. But both of these parties evolve, and they become more economically and culturally liberal as time goes on. And the reason why they become more economic and culturally liberal is because the people who control the media and control public opinion are controlling what people are interested in. Like people are genuinely interested in economic and cultural liberalism because of the media. So if you control the media...
I wouldn't be surprised if Labour start going racist, because it's got to the point now where the Conservatives are going, hey, look at all the black people we've got. Hey, look at all the black people that vote for us and stuff like this. I wouldn't be surprised if Labour do go... hopefully, I would like to see them go a bit more... But then again, they had Steptoe, but and all he was like mildly anti-Semitic. He was just pro PLO, weren't he?
Yeah. So the thing is that democracy's fucking bullshit. Like I said, most people get their opinions from people higher up in the hierarchy, and they just do what they want. That's what happens. So they're not really. I don't believe that most people are like rational. I don't believe that most people are rational. I think that the majority of people are irrational, and they get all of their opinions from people higher up in the hierarchy. So when they're voting for someone, they're really just parroting opinions and beliefs they've got from a capitalist, like all the time, pretty much. That's that's the case because every time you talk to a normal person, this is an experience with me. Is when we talk about politics with them, I know where that opinions come from. I think that was from RBC from 3 weeks ago. What you just said. You know what I mean? So that's what you just said. And they'll act like it's their own opinion. They're like, oh, that's my own opinion. This is what I believe. So that isn't what you believe. That's what fucking James O'Brien said 4 weeks ago.
Oh, James O'Brien is awful. I can't stand that whistle he does while he's talking. That really fucking annoys me. I can't stand the bloke.
James O'Brien got his opinion from an intellectual who's funded by some fucking capitalist. It goes up higher, and that opinions filter down. They don't come from the bottom up. So democracy is a load of bollocks. It's not the case that people vote for what they actually want or what's in their own self-interest. They vote for what other people higher up in the hierarchy have told them to fucking vote for. And it just so happens that every time they vote for something, it supports the bourgeoisie, the people at the top of the hierarchy, be they left-wing or right-wing. There's obviously extremes on both sides, like us on the right wing or commies or whatever. But those fucking people every time like a commie or like a nationalist comes out and sort of expresses their opinion, the media and the establishment has a good way of just like gay-upping them or just labeling them a racist or a fucking red fascist or something. So that's the way the system is. We don't have a real democracy. We have people controlling people's opinions top down. That's my belief on it.
James O'Brien is NRX. Lister told me, says punish John Kelly.
What, did he really say that?
I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised because NRX is just like liberalism anyway, isn't it?
It's all liberalism. So by Ray, we don't have a democracy. That's a lie. Well, we do have a democracy, but democracy serves the interests of the elites. Always has done, always will do. People are not free-thinking individuals who are rational. People are sheep.
I don't know. Maybe Lister did because Punk Bastardo said Lister said Tony Blair was as well.
Well, no, Tony Blair was a neoliberal, wasn't he?
He was a technocrat. Tony Blair was a technocrat, though, wasn't
he? Yeah. To a large degree, but he still serves neoliberal interests, doesn't he?
Well, he serves Tony Blair. That's it. Tony Blair serves nobody but Tony Blair.
Pretty much, yeah. Tony Blair. Oh, sorry. Sorry, there was an echo then.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
I think the best quote from Blair was that Britain's apparently too white.
Too white and too damn English.
Yeah.
Right,
it's like that Pakistani in Scotland that was upset that Scotland's full of Scottish people.
What's the name? Is it Naz Shah? Is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's some goober who was like, I know he was furious that Scotland,
how dare they?
Full of actually Scottish people.
How dare Scottish people live in Scotland?
Yeah, but not Pakistan, where he's from. He's not fuming that's full of Pakistanis.
Can I push back against Bayer Ray? Because Bayer Ray said something a bit stupid.
Go on then.
He says the standards of living are far higher in capitalist democracies than socialist nations. Feel free to move to North Korea. 1, North Korea that base that they wouldn't allow me to move there. 2, which is weird. Like it's weird how socialist nations have always got like a fucking strict as fuck immigration policy, and capitalist ones don't. 2, like the standard of living. Actually, you'll find, and I can remember specifically talking to you, Bayer Ray, proving to you that socialist nations actually have a high standard of living, and you said, "Oh, I don't trust peer-reviewed research." I remember providing you that fucking meta-analysis of like comparing the standard, and also standard of living.
So are you saying if you get cancer and you have to sell your house to pay for the treatment, that's a poor standard of living, Phil? What kind of fucking hell? Yeah.
It also depends about who. Like
all you've got to do in a capitalist nation anyway, Phil, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, and it also depends who you're talking about. When you say capitalist democracies are better as a whole, It really depends who you're talking about. If you're a working class person, then clearly the standard of living is fucking terrible in capitalist democracies. Like, I can prove it. Like in our capitalist democracy of England, if I went round Rotherham and asked some white working class girls at the age of 14 how their standard of living is, do you reckon they're going to say it's pretty fucking good? So you got loads of money though. You're quite wealthy, aren't you? It's like, well, no, I'm getting raped all the time. We've got one rape and a Hemmy stream.
Yeah, it's fake wealth, isn't it? It's like because you have a smartphone, therefore you're rich. You know,
smartphone and a 50-inch flat screen. That means you're rich. That means that's good standard of living.
Rich. Yeah.
So if your standard of living is so good, the standard of living is so good in the West, why are suicide rates going through the fucking roof? Why is depression skyrocketing?
Well, capitalist nations do nothing. Capitalist nations never do anything for your spiritual health, do they? You know, your spiritual well-being, or your like personal, like just general, like feeling good about yourself. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like the argument is, oh my God, why are all these people killing themselves? They've got plasma TVs and iPhones. Why are they killing themselves? Why are they depressed? Why can't they fuck a person of the opposite sex? You should be loving it, guys. Why are you so fucking? Why are you killing yourself? Why is depression through the roof? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's a load of bollocks. Like it really depends who you're talking about. And I've done this before. It's like if you look at if immigration is bad for people, if you're talking about middle class people and upper class people, immigration's really good for them. It actually improves how much money they earn. But if you're talking about normal working class person, then immigration's fucking terrible for them. Just like capitalism's fucking terrible for them. Like capitalism's that bad for the working class in England that we actually have a new class. We don't just have the working class now. We have something called the precariat class. That's a class of people who are on 0-hour contracts, who are, I think it's like a few weeks away from a serious catastrophe where they could lose their entire fucking life. Yeah, it's actually a privilege to be working class.
But the weird thing is, what you think would be the lowest class of all, those that live on government handouts are pulling in like equivalent. They pull in 20. Say that threshold is actually observed, and they pull in 25. That's equivalent to about 40 with tax, isn't it?
Yeah, there's actually a class of people who are just working really shitty jobs, and they're worse off than like people on the dole.
Yeah,
and there's so yeah. When we're talking about capitalism is really good on the whole for people, it's like who are you talking about? If you're talking about capitalists, then obviously it's amazing for them. If you're talking about middle class people, yeah, great. But if you're talking about working,
it's amazing. It's amazing for the chattering classes. You know, the people who stack out the fucking BBC and fucking ruin our lives. Yeah, it's fantastic for them, isn't it?
It's like listen, Byrie, I'm a socialist. I don't give a fuck about the rich or the middle class. I give a fuck about the working class. You know, I give a fuck about England, really. And yeah, when you make claims like, oh, the standard of living is better, it depends what you're talking about. It's like, if you're talking about food and shiny shit, then obviously we've got more shiny shit. But the problem is that, yeah, when we're measuring the standard of living, you've got to include mental health. And I'm sorry to say to you, well, I'm not sorry, but like in capitalist nations, we've got a fucking massive mental health crisis, a fucking massive one. People are killing themselves. They're fucking experiencing a vast amount of fucking depression and alienation. Like people under capitalism feel alienated from their fellow fucking countrymen. They don't even feel like they have no connection to anyone. They're highly individualistic, nihilistic. We've got an obesity crisis where people are comfort eating because of that fucking emotionally fucked up. Got anorexia, bulimia, fucking suicide, bipolar disorder. So when people say, it's fucking amazing capitalism is.
Well, boys, under all this liberalism, you can sodomize yourself, and that'll make you happy, especially if you're a woman.
Well, yeah, they just sodomize yourself, and it's like, oh yeah, we got loads of trannies now, and they're all killing themselves. Amazing. Yeah. Capitalism is great. We love this shit.
Yeah. I think like some of these people, like I know this is sort of a boomer take, but you know, it kind of is when they're like all this like the LGBT lobby stuff is basically like these companies don't give a shit. They run it for profit. But the fact that it's allowed to operate and stuff, but like these people genuinely believe it, you know. It's like I said, yeah.
Byron's doing it again. Byron's doing it again. He says capitalism is just private ownership of the means of production. We've had it since the agrarian revolution more than 10,000 years ago. It's like, well, yeah, even then, it's like people talk about the Industrial Revolution. They say the Industrial Revolution was amazing for England. It's like, well, it depends who you're talking about, really. If you're talking about the working class, well, it wasn't really that good for them. Like sending your kid into a factory to get its fucking hand cut off.
We don't live under capitalism per se. Like, it isn't like, I guess that would be more like a libertarian. Oh yeah, you got personal capital.
Well, we live in a mixed. We live in a mixed.
Supported the country.
We live in a mixed, allegedly managed economy, don't we?
Yeah, but we don't. Like, but
it's not fucking managed.
You know, international finance though is very different to the main concept of capitalism, right? Which would be a far more, private ownership and all that stuff, which
socialism,
you would still have.
Phil, socialism is literally retarded. You don't have to be literally retarded to think that socialism works. Socialism does work. The national. What's wrong with the National Health Service? Why should I have to sell my house because I get cancer?
Yeah,
why in an advanced economy such as this one should I have to sell my house because I get cancer?
Because it's not run properly though, like half the stuff on the NHS you have to pay for yourself anyway, and then there's the waiting list and all the fucking malpractice.
What I mean is we live in a country that has socialist aspects to it, and one of the great socialist aspects is socialist healthcare. Socialised healthcare.
Principle, it's a good idea.
Yeah,
but in principle, I don't want to live in a country where a child would. An example: my nephew. My nephew, used to work. It doesn't work now because of immigration.
Well,
it's not the National Health Service, is it? It's
the International Health Service.
It's the International Malpractice Service. You know?
Yeah.
But it's preferable than having a private healthcare system, which is fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking. Well, it did. Like I've said before, with capitalism or socialism, you have to talk about who does it work for. If you're a working class person. If you're just a normal worker in a factory, having a private healthcare system is a fucking terrible idea for you. Really fucking terrible idea. If you're an elite fucking billionaire or whatever, then yeah, I guess you prefer that. Like the thing is that when you're talking about socialism versus capitalism, it's kind of pointless trying to appeal to some people. Like if you're trying to appeal to fucking Amazon about socialism, they're obviously not going to agree with that. But if you're talking to a working class person, they are going to agree with that.
I don't believe in like full socialism, and I don't believe in full capitalism. I believe in a mixed managed economy. So, certain aspects I believe should be run by the state. I think a lot of the shit that's made. I've got no problem with like capitalists making it, but I don't believe they should be able to get to a position where they've got enough money to start corrupting MPs.
Yeah, well, the thing is that when you're talking about socialism versus capitalism, it's capitalism is private ownership of the means of production, and it's generally describing an emergent phenomena where generally in society it's pursued by individual self-interest. That's what capitalism is. Socialism is about collective ownership. Now, how that's put into place, collective ownership of the means of production, is another situation. You can have various aspects.
So are you saying that you can have aspects of people owning their own businesses, but generally, but they are answerable to the state? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. Like with there's different types of socialism. Obviously, there's Marxist-Leninism. There's a centrally planned economy. A centrally planned economy is where you own absolutely fuck all, and you can make no profit whatsoever, and it's centrally planned. That's a failed fucking situation, I believe. But you can have socialism where you can run it like a worker co-op, for example, is a good example where everyone cooperatively owns the fucking business, and you're paid based on what you have fucking produced ultimately. So if you produce a certain amount of shit, then you earn said amount of money. If you do fuck all day, you earn fuck all. And you can have like a person who you choose to hire to be the manager of the worker co-op, and they're paid based on what their labor is. And you can also have private ownership where you own your own business, but there would be like a state union and a state representative who would sort of look for the interests of the nation and of the workers. That's a kind of socialism.
Yeah, because you know, just for example, I'd just be in favour that, you know, you're charging people £5 for a toothbrush and you're paying your workers fuck all, sort it out. You know, that would be my favoured form.
Yeah, where you essentially have the state is always present, where if you are trying to fuck over your workers, the state has veto, where it says the national interests trump your individual interests. And that's I don't believe in individual property rights. Like, that's what capitalism is about individual property rights. I believe in national property rights, where the nation collectively owns all the property. And obviously, to a certain degree, individuals should be allowed to earn a lot of money based on you know, how productive they are or whatever. But what we'll do is we'll have controls in place so that they cannot be corrupt and not exploit people in England. So that if you are a worker who works for a corporation, then the nation will be there to sort of regulate you, to ensure that you do that you're operating in a moral way for England, where you can, and that's what it would be. That's how it would be. Whereas under capitalism, the general theme is that everyone is working within their own self-interest. That's how capitalism is. But you don't necessarily
own their own house, etc. in that 40s country no one likes talking about.
Yeah, that's how it operated in Germany and Italy as well, and that's how it was in other ways. But
that's the thing. People say, "Oh, it didn't work." It's like, but it literally did. Like, the only reason that it felt was, we've been over this.
Yeah,
but the
in short, because the guy with the toothbrush moustache couldn't stay within his own fucking borders.
But from an economic perspective, it did work. The only reason it failed was because of like geopolitical shit. Like, in terms of the economy, it did fucking work. Like, and it does work. It does work now. It depends on what you value ultimately. If you value shiny shit, individualism and fucking liberalism, then support neoliberalism.
Yeah, the thing is, Phil, if we do have national socialism, do we have to have the meth pills?
No, you don't. National socialism is not something that Hitler even invented. There's this like weird idea that.
It's just a mixed managed economy, isn't it? And that's
pretty much.
But
the difference between I don't believe you can have a mixed economy. You either do have capitalism or socialism in regards to your economy.
What's the first thing they always say? It's always, and they got rid of international finance, and they told the banks off. Ooh.
So the difference between socialism and capitalism is that capitalism, generally speaking, moves towards individual private ownership, and people pursue their own individual needs. So that's like a capitalist economy. And socialism is where it's collective interests. So even though you can have like a business owner under National Socialism, because there are those what's the word I'm looking for? Because there are those, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Those policies in place that make sure that they're always serving the collective interest. That's me. That's
yeah, but I don't believe the government should be making fucking hi-fis and cars and shit like that. Like.
No, of course not. You still believe you can have individuals, or still having a sort of competitive market where they're driven by, profit and money. That's communism. Communism gets rid of. They want a moneyless society. Socialism doesn't want a moneyless society. Communism does. Because it's just easier to have your country ticking along with a fair amount of carrot. The carrot keeps productivity going, doesn't it? Yeah, my main critics of like communism or Marxist-Leninism is that they're trying to move to a world that's impossible. Like, they want a stateless society where there's no government ever. They want a classless society. I can sort of agree with that. But
I'm really going to have to go bed now, but I've got one last question I want to get in before we do from Byray. There's a strong argument that Hitler needed to invade in other nations because by 1938 Germany was bankrupt due to his policies.
Well, they would say that.
Do you know anything about that, Phil?
That's probably true, but the problem is that capitalist nations do this as well. Like they invade the fuck out of everyone. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was because he was such a fucking paranoid schizo fucking cunt that he had to build up the army, and because he was building up the army, he was running out of resources. Because if he weren't building all those fucking tanks and employing all those soldiers, he wouldn't be running out of resources, would he?
I think invading countries to gain resources is something that socialists and capitalists have to do.
Yeah,
to get it, it's like that's a part of like both systems. Like if you have a capitalist country, well, if you have private ownership of the means of production, individuals are going to want to take over resources and control it, just like socialists will need to do that as well. Mainly because a lot of socialist nations are not self-reliant. They're not self-reliant, so they need to control resources. Imperialism is kind of necessary, to be fair. I think that's a feature of all economic systems or political systems, that you have to invade places and take shit off.
Yeah,
people.
it would be nice to have Byray hop on and you two just hash it out, because you never quite get across when it's you are getting a lot of your stuff over Byray, but a lot of it gets lost in text because there's only so many characters you can put in. There's no nuance in it. I think you'd probably you and Phil would probably clear up a lot if you two just had a discussion about it.
Byray's just got a checklist. He's got like a checklist that he goes through. It's like when with the economic calculation problem, I refuted that, and then it moves on to Fordism, which he's doing right now. And if I refute that, which I will in a bit, I'm not going to do that because you want to go to bed. He's got like a checklist like Ben Shapiro that he goes through. And then in the end, it's just like
that's what makes him sound ANCAP, because he may not be ANCAP, and that's the point I'm making, that he's not able to get you can't really get a feel for him, because you two need to have a chat and like feel it out, don't you, to work out where either of you are, because you're probably misrepresenting him, because you can't get through the nuance of all his views, can you?
Face to face,
yeah.
Instead of being a little fucking text warrior,
reply guy,
fucking. I bet he's there saying he's got nothing to do with Mises, but I bet he's got fucking Mises.com and his fucking tab list open right now, waiting to BTFO me or whatever. But whatever, it's I like Byray, right? Really.
Well, how do you explain the economic calculation problem when it comes to Jordans and Beats headphones by Dr. Dre?
Well, yeah.
Remember when they endlessly shilled those, and it's like they're meant to be one of the worst headphones ever made.
Don't actually put weights in them to make them appear more quality? That's what I heard.
You got to get those beats, man.
Yeah, right. That's it. I've had enough now. I'm off to bed. Catch you later.
All right, take it easy, dude.
Yeah.